Hello and welcome to Carved in Stone. I'm your host, Shawn Chabam, and buckle up because this Memorial Day weekend, we are taking a road trip all over the country as I give you my Mount Rushmore of state license plates. What I'm going to do today is show you every state license plate. Uh, I'm going to go in order as if we were traveling the country. We're going to start in Maine, travel down the entire East Coast. We'll end up ending our car journey in California, and then we'll take a plane to Hawaii and Alaska to close things out. I did my best to get the most current default plates for each state. I think I did so. If not, apologies in advance. Um, the plate I show is the one I'm considering to represent each state. This is an episode you are definitely going to want to watch. If you're only listening, it's not going to be as fun unless you're a total license plate geek and know what these look like without a video. I will keep a running tab of all the states that are in the running for Mount Rushmore of state plates. I'll narrow it down at the end to 4. This will be based solely on design and nothing else. Like my Mount Rushmore of state quarters and state or country flags, it is 100% design based. That is all I'm looking at here. This could take a while because we have all 50 states plus Washington, D.C. to travel to, so let's get to it. As I said, we're starting with Maine. Pretty simple, nice tree. I've been to Maine. I've been to all the East Coast states, actually, and quite a few more. It's not the first place that comes to my mind when I think of vacations, but it is a pretty state. The plate does what it needs to do, the lettering stands out, but nothing really special about it. It's not getting on the mountain. Let's head down to New Hampshire. This is pretty nice. Live free or die, got the state motto on there. That word above Hampshire is new for those who don't read cursive. I personally like that touch, along with the S in Hampshire. It has a nice light green and blue background with a profile of the old man of the mountain on the right side. This is a good one, and I'll put it in the running. And we go from that to this boring plate in Vermont. Nothing unique about it, really, although green is my favorite color, so I give it some cred for that. Definitely not worthy of the mountain. How about Massachusetts? Just as boring as Vermont, maybe more so because at least Vermont's pops with the green. I like the font they chose for the state name, but no. Rhode Island, our smallest state, is up next. Not bad at all. I like the colors, the waves, the anchor, the font choice for Ocean State. This is a nice license plate, and I am going to have this join New Hampshire as a candidate for Mount Rushmore. That brings us to Connecticut. I really like the way the gradient goes from blue to white. I don't care for the font, that's pretty boring. Not a bad plate here, but also not worthy of a Mount Rushmore candidacy, so let's go over to New York. This is well done, in my opinion. I think the outline of the state that breaks up the plate numbers is really cool. Nice background at the bottom. You've got the Statue of Liberty, Niagara Falls, the New York skyline, Excelsior for superior quality. My only complaint is that they just tried fitting too much in here. I think they could have made the graphic bigger if they just chose Niagara Falls or the skyline. I get that they're trying to represent the whole state, and I respect that. But because the images are so small and I don't think you could tell everything that's on it while driving, I'm not giving this the opportunity to get onto today's mountain, even though I do enjoy it. To New Jersey. Again, the gradient is cool, and I like that the state outline separates the plate numbers. That said, the font choice is nothing special, and it really doesn't have a ton of pop, so we're going to move on to the next state where yours truly grew up, Pennsylvania. I want to give this plate credit for being Philly specific. But man, the Liberty Bell is just not that great a landmark. It's a bell that doesn't ring. It's cracked, and the name of the state is misspelled on it. What I do like about it is the little curve up top in the state name. This came out in 2025, I believe, and while it's a more complex design than the old one, which was just simple coloring and the keystone, I've seen these on the road and I have a hard time making out the words. Not the best effort we could have gotten from PA. No mountain for you. Join me at my home now in Delaware. What can I say? It does what it needs to do. You can clearly read the plate. Other than that, it is an extremely boring license plate that's not going on the mountain. I will take this opportunity, however, to remind you that if you're in the first state like me, there are plenty of other plates you can purchase, like this pet plate here. 35 of your $50 goes to the Delaware Spay and Neuter Fund. Go to de.gov/petplate to order yours. All right, Maryland. I've stated that I like cursive writing, so good choice with the state name there. Lots of color at the bottom. I think that's a portion of their state flag. I like how it fades in. It's a good plate. I'm not adding it to the list of possibilities just because I know I like some of the ones coming up better. So nice plate from Maryland here. It just won't land a spot on the mountain. The nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Nothing fun about this one, really. The text stands out nicely against the white, boring fonts. I guess it's kind of cool how the stars and stripes fit in to break up the numbering, but no. Virginia is for lovers. Whenever I'm on a road trip playing the license plate game that's looking for all the state plates and sometimes some provinces in Canada, there are so many times that I go, ooh, what's that one? And it's a Virginia plate. They have so many different plates, over 300 according to the Google machine, but this is the default, and I get why people purchase different ones. This is one of the worst plates in the country. It has nothing going for it except that it now leads us to North Carolina. And North Carolina is a very good plate if you ask me. I like the color. I like the shadows in the background of the plain and grass. The font choice for North Carolina is cool. It gets in a lot of graphics here, but because they're so light, it doesn't feel overwhelming. Big thumbs up to North Carolina's plate, and it gets a spot on my list of finalists. As for their neighbors in South Carolina, another good one. You've got the cursive writing, the crescent moon, the palmetto tree. There's a little gradient up top. This is good, but I can't put my finger on what it is about this plate that just doesn't do enough for me. I don't know what it is, but there's something missing. No Rushmore for the South Carolinians. You Hear Georgia, a great song and album by Blackberry Smoke, one of my favorites. From my Googling, it looks like Georgia doesn't have a default plate, but here are the two I see most frequently. One has way too much going on and is far too busy, while the other doesn't have nearly enough going on. Neither can find that happy medium. Neither is a nominee for Mount Rushmore today. What about Florida? I like that they have the oranges and the state outline is a more modest background color. It doesn't overwhelm you. You can clearly read it. It's a good plate. Let's add it to the list of finalists to wrap up our East Coast part of the trip. I'll tell you, there are going to be quite a few states on this list that don't make the mountain. For those that don't, just consider them honorable mentions. Let's crank some Skinnerd as we go to Sweet Home, Alabama. Wow, I'm impressed. This plate is beautiful. You have gorgeous scenery that doesn't get in the way of the information. They have a nice little promotion for their website below. The not so fun font doesn't even bother me here because the rest of the plate looks so good. definitely a candidate. Great job to our friends in Alabama. So far, I think this plate is the gold standard. Let's move on to Tennessee. And this plate is not the only 10 I see. What the hell is this? To be fair, maybe I'm being so critical because it followed Alabama, but this plate is the dumps. So boring. Hopefully I made a mistake and this isn't the default plate, but from what I can tell it is. I'm done with this plate. I'm not even critiquing it because I just don't want to look at it anymore. Let's see if Kentucky can do any better. They absolutely can. Not that the bar was too high after that last one. This is good. A really nice shade of blue is used here. I don't know if they were going for this, but the outline of the state kind of also looks like a cloud. I think Kentucky did a nice job here. The competition is getting steep though. Kentucky doesn't have a shot at making my mountain, so they stay off the list, but this isn't bad at all. Let's meet West Virginia. It's simple. It does what it needs to do. You can clearly see the plate numbers and the state name. They're definitely keeping it plain and not showing off, which isn't going to get them on my license plate Mount Rushmore. It's an okay plate, but won't make the mountain. There's nothing wrong with Ohio, except the snow and the rain, as Bowling for Soup would say. There is something wrong with their license plates too. Way too much going on here for a license plate. This would make a great mural or a billboard to welcome you to Ohio because it is lovely. It just doesn't work as a license plate. There's just too much happening here for how much space you get in the license plate. Hard pass on Ohio. Hopefully Michigan can do better. Okay, simple but attractive. Nice job with the M up top there. They get a nice little shout out to the Michigan.org website. I'm not adding it to my list. As is the case with a lot of others, it does what it needs to do. There's just nothing all that special or eye-catching about it. So let's reverse direction and go south to Indiana. Ohio. Take notes on Indiana's license plate. They get in a lot, but it doesn't feel like it's too much. Great color, awesome landscape. You've got a great depiction of a bridge in there. This is how you get in a lot without being overwhelming. Great plate. This definitely has a shot at getting atop my Mount Rushmore of state license plates. Very well done, Indiana. Let's see how their neighbors in Illinois stack up. Not bad. Not bad at all, if you ask me. As I've mentioned before, I refuse to get into political discussions on Carved in Stone. I can't ignore the fact that Abraham Lincoln is there. A nice rendering of him. The Chicago and Springfield skylines are in the back. Nice job. I'm not adding it to the list, but nothing to be ashamed of for Illinois. Now let's check out those cheeseheads in Wisconsin. Again, not bad. They're not trying too hard. I think the little sailboat image would work better if it were used to break up the plate number like some other states do with a graphic. The farmland is kind of hard to make out, but at least they're not going too in your face with it. I like that Wisconsin is slightly italicized. Like Illinois, nothing shameful here, but won't be getting on my mountain. Minnesota. Pretty good. Pretty good. A gorgeous shade of blue. I like the 10,000 Lakes font choice. Nice separation with the state outline. Cool gradient below. Has that slight little pop of green with the underline. I'll add this to the list of possibilities. We still have a lot to go, and the list is starting to get crowded, so some fine plates will be left off. But Minnesota gets on the list, which is the first step toward climbing the mountain. Now for Iowa, home of everyone's favorite athlete. Of course, I'm referring to Cooper DeJean. This plate is really nice. A lot is incorporated here without being too much, thanks to the light colors and the images being in the background with a nice overlay for the plate numbers. This is another good one. And this is another one I'm going to add to the list. Will Missouri make it 3 in a row? No. It's not bad. It's simple, but the font for the state is cool. I like the squiggly underline, and I usually am in favor of sprucing things up with a touch of green, so I like that. It just doesn't quite have the flair to make it on my mountain, so I won't consider putting it on the list to look back on later. Arkansas is next. This is pretty similar to their state quarter. I like that diamond, and I am a fan of how that R and K overlap. Nice soft blue, big bold black lettering. This is yet another one I will consider for later. Narrowing it down to 4 is going to be tough. Mississippi. Okay. I'm not a big fan of flowers, but those S's are the bomb. That means bussin', as my oldest would say. Man, if they only had something cooler than a flower in the middle there, I really, really like the S's. It doesn't bother me that it's almost all black and white, but I can't get over that there has to be something better they can put there than a flower. So this narrowly misses the list. Louisiana. Pretty clean and easy to read. That plate number, cool cursive font. In the middle there, that graphic is just going to be way too small to read while you're driving. I am not a fan of making words that small. In Sportsman's Paradise, it has a smart quote, which I hate. The apostrophe doesn't curve at all, just goes straight down like this instead of going like this. Boo! I could possibly let that slide if I were enthralled with the rest of the plate, but I'm not. Let's head to Texas. Wow. This is boring. You're telling me that in the whole gigantic state, that's a state that's bigger than a lot of countries, they couldn't find somebody to design something better than this? You can read all the numbers. Does what it needs to, I guess. But this is the worst plate since Tennessee. Awful. Let's move on. Oklahoma. This one's pretty good. I like how the K sticks out. The red gets your attention. Oklahoma's the 46th state, which is a nice nod in that star, although I don't know how well you'd see that while driving. You've got some landmarks and animals. While I was researching, I read that most Oklahomans didn't want this plate. I don't know why. I didn't go that far into it. I just read that most of them didn't want it. I think it's really attractive. I'll add it. Kansas. You know, the yellow makes it stick out. You can't deny that. Not a bad contrast with the blue, similar to Delaware. I like the To the Stars at the bottom. I don't have a lot of criticism here, but I don't have a gushing review either. Kansas won't be at the top of this mountain. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore because we are now in the state of Nebraska. Yeah, no. It's too much. Not Ohio levels of too much, but too much nonetheless. I do like the graphics being light in the background, but I don't even know what is on this plate. No, no, no. South Dakota. All right. I know I just said Nebraska was too much, but South Dakota somehow makes this work. Great rendering of Mount Rushmore. You can tell what it is, but still make out the plate numbers. Awesome font choice on the name of the state. The sky looks great. This is a killer license plate. Just beautiful. Let's add this one to the crowded list of nominees. Can North Dakota make the Dakotas go 2 for 2? I'm going to go with yes. This is another really nice plate. You've got the sunset behind the mountains, the bison in front. I like the black outlined around the North Dakota text. You've got the wheat stalks around the state name. The blue to orange gradient is nice. Let's add this as a possibility. Now let's head west one state to Montana. Garbage. Absolute garbage. This is as bad, if not worse, than Tennessee's. If you live in Montana, spend the extra money on a novelty plate. I looked and they have some cool ones. This is not it. Boring as hell. Even the outline going around the text can't save it. I'm usually a fan of something like that. There's a bison skull, which I like, but it's way too hard to see. Let's throw this one in the trash and head down to Wyoming. You know, this would probably have a chance if it were just the bucking horse and the guy riding it. They try to do way too much in the background here. I like the solid blue, but overall, I am not a fan of Wyoming's plate. So I'll have to come back to Colorado's plate later because I am adding it to the list. I like the mountains, and the green makes me happy. It has great readability. The reason I say I'll have to come back is because I need to look at it while I'm looking at other decent plates. I think I like this, but I can't tell if I like it enough to make it one of my top 4, or if I just have on rose-colored glasses right now after seeing a sucky one like Wyoming. I think Colorado is good, but more on that later. Now here's one that I know I'm fond of, New Mexico. Really bold and in your face with the yellow, cool sun symbol breaking up the numbers, great pop of green. This reminds me of eating chips and salsa as I wait for my steak and shrimp fajitas at a Mexican restaurant. This definitely has a chance. Let's add it. Arizona. This is impressive. This is great. Nice use of the gradient with the colors. The sunset at the Grand Canyon is phenomenal. You got some cacti there. Who doesn't think of the Grand Canyon when they think of Arizona? One of the coolest landmarks I've been to, despite my fear of heights. This is a fantastic plate. One of my favorites so far. It easily makes the list and is one step away from being on Mount Rushmore. Now to Utah. Utah apparently has 4 standard plates. So I'm just going to pick my favorite out of those to talk about, which is this one. The Life Elevated plate. This is pretty good. Nice sky in the background. The plate reflects Utah's mountainous terrain. It's not as good as some others. I won't add it to the list. It's close, but no cigar. Idaho is next. Oh my gosh. Okay. I love potatoes. Don't know if I feel they're necessary on a license plate, even if that is your state's claim to fame. I think this would do just fine with the landscape and no potato. It's too crowded, and I'm sorry, but the potato is just out of place here. Let's shoot over to the state of Washington. Apparently, this is another state without a default, so I'll pick the one that I see the most often. This is a nice plate. I like the mountains in back. You can see the numbers easily. Boring font choice, though. Just looking at some of the plates that are on the running list already, I can tell you Washington doesn't have a hope in hell of making my Mount Rushmore, so let's move on to Oregon. And thumbs up to Oregon. Simple but elegant. The mountains look top-notch. The fir tree separating the plate numbers looks awesome. We get a little green. We get a little light blue. We get readability. This plate has it all. Let's add it. Man, this will be so hard. This is going to be so hard narrowing it down to 4. Speaking of 4, we are down to 4 states to look at before I reveal my mountain. Right now, Nevada, however you say it. Decent plate here. I like the multicolored mountain and the sky. Again, the list is crowded enough already, and I know this won't make the cut. Good plate, but not mountain worthy. And the last state on our road trip of the continental United States. We'll jump on a plane after this. California. Great font choice on the state name here. Very readable. A slick and clean license plate. But is it one of the 4 best in the country? I say absolutely not. There's no way it's getting up there. Let's get in the air now and head to Hawaii. Again, clean, very readable. Not the greatest font choice. And why is there no green in that rainbow? Roy G. Biv, y'all. The G stands for green. For goodness sake. I can't in good conscience let that slide. It's a no to Hawaii. And finally, last but not least, Alaska. As I've said with other states, it does what it needed to do. You can read the plate. Not a bad color contrast, kind of the opposite of Delaware with the yellow in the background and the blue text, but too generic. I'm going to take a break. My clothing may change. I just need some time to digest all of these designs and narrow it down to just 4. So I will be right back. This podcast is not affiliated with, endorsed, or sponsored by any division of Motor Vehicles Office or any of the states in today's episode. License plate images are sourced from state government websites unless otherwise specified and are believed to be used under fair use laws. Okay, a couple of quick corrections. Idaho doesn't have one default plate. Apparently they have multiple plates by county, but as far as I can tell, most of them still brag about freaking potatoes. Missouri came out with a new plate recently. Still not mountain worthy, too busy in the background, can't tell what it is. Yeah, sometimes I leave mistakes in the show. I try to correct them when I can. I'm not perfect, I have no problem telling people that. Sorry for the errors. I enjoyed talking about these plates, especially Idaho, so I figured I'd keep these in. All right, I'm back. It's time to consult the list and narrow my list of 16 finalists all the way down to 4 for this episode of Carved in Stone. I'll give another short synopsis of these 16 and then tell you the final 4. If you've watched the whole episode, thank you. I know it's longer than what I usually post. Let's go in order of how I added them. New Hampshire, definitely a good one. I like the cursive, as I said before. Rhode Island, great color scheme. The anchor is cool. North Carolina, I'm loving the plain and the font. Florida, good job not going too far with the color of the outline. The oranges stand out. Alabama, we'll just get the suspense over with right now. I love this plate. I referred to it earlier as the gold standard. Yes, it gets a spot on my Mount Rushmore of state license plates. Indiana, I really like that they got a lot in without feeling too cluttered. Very nice. Minnesota, nice blue, cool gradient. Iowa, again, a lot without overdoing it. Arkansas, loving the R and the K. Oklahoma, I like the landmarks and animals as well as how the K sticks out. I'm still baffled that residents didn't want this plate. It's really good. South Dakota, awesome font, beautiful rendering of Mount Rushmore. Great plate here. North Dakota, I love the sunset and the bison. Colorado, this is an attractive plate. This is the one I said I really needed to come back to later to see if I really liked it or if it just looked good because it came after Wyoming, which was trash. Looking back, I still like this. New Mexico, I like this, but I'm hungry for fajitas now, so I'm going to move on. Arizona, great plate here showing the Grand Canyon. I don't think they could have done any better. Oregon, simple yet elegant. Great colors. All right, 3 reveals to go. You already know Alabama is there. The other three I am going with are Arizona, South Dakota, and the final spot was really tough between Indiana and Oregon. Some people cheat at Mount Rushmore lists and put as many picks as they want. I've seen lists with 20 items on them. I don't do that. I hate to leave one of these off, but Mount Rushmore has four available spots. Four. Just four, not five, not 10, not 20. So I'm going to go with four. Apologies to Indiana because it's great, but Oregon rounds out my final spot. I love the mountains, the colors. All 16 of my finalists were really good, but I had to 86 a quarter of them. I hope you enjoyed this road trip. Remember that even though you may be taking a road trip or barbecuing this weekend, Memorial Day is really about those who made the ultimate sacrifice to our country, so be sure to honor them in whatever way you feel comfortable. To recap, my Mount Rushmore of state license plates: Alabama, Arizona, South Dakota, and Oregon. I will see you next time. Go Birds!